Hey everyone, welcome back. So hopefully you guys all had a great holiday, and it was super busy for me. I'm pretty sure it's probably super busy for you guys as well. But it's good to be back to swing of things. I was going to do a live stream last night, actually, and I had family come over again. So it was just nonstop family events happening the last couple of days. But we're back to the things a little bit today as well. We're going to take a look at some numbers for Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin gets 200,000 later on next year, what could that possibly mean for the miners as far as where could it be valued at that point? We'll look at that numbers. We'll look at also some news that we have from Hive. We'll also take a look at quickly just some update on TeraWulf's reported deal with the not hyperscale, but the company that they have there for HPCI business. We're going to go over that really quick. I did talk to a couple of the guys from TeraWulf there about it because I had some questions on it. So I'll give you guys my thoughts on it on that. And we'll look at what's going on with Bitcoin here, and are we going into a year-end sell-off as well? That could be a possibility also. So we'll take a look at that. And that's it. So we got quite a few things to get through. We're going to do this relatively quickly because I do have another birthday party to get to later on tonight. So we're not going to go for an hour and a half this time. We're going to go for at least 45 minutes to an hour maybe. And then I got a jet. All right. But as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice. We're intending to only do your own research. As always, full disclosure below that. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Let's take a look at what's going on with here with Bitcoin and the miners here. Bitcoin yesterday on Friday fell and closed below the 50 simple day moving average here, which is this line right there. We are in the red on it right now, which then again leads me to believe that we might be coming back down even further. Right, we talked about this in previous videos as well, where I think we might end up actually like being down roughly 25% or something like that, which would get us to about 80. What is it? 25% would bring us down to 80,000 or so, right? Which would be right in line with the 100 simple day moving average on that one. That's kind of where I'm thinking might be the bottom. We might go down to like maybe the 78, 75, even with a wick down, and then go back up. But that's kind of where I'm seeing things right now. We have a couple more days here left in the old year, and then we get into 2025 here next week. I don't think it's going to happen within that time, but it could. We could get a flash crash down and get that wiped out, and then we go into 2025 a bit lower, but definitely with a much higher upside potential at that point as well. Okay, so that's kind of what Bitcoin's going on right now. Bitcoin's up a little bit here on the day right now. Bitcoin was down 1.57% on yesterday. Miners were all down quite a bit as well. A lot of these guys are way off from where they were from their just recent highs here even. You can see Bitfarms is off from the 276 that had a high here. It's at $1.63. That is a huge drawdown on that one. I mean, that one is down basically from there to the bottom about 43%. A lot of these guys are, with the exception of BitDeer. BitDeer has been going up like crazy here recently, really based on no news other than them having their A6, right, which are coming in this quarter, next quarter, the following quarters. So they're going to be growing their hash rate on that as well. They're going to be, a lot of the stuff is going to be coming online, I believe, in like the second half of 2025 and beyond that. So it's interesting to see that this one is pumping there. It was up, it was also down. Cypher here has been coming down as well. You can see that it's come down from the top here, which was 777 down to 46. That's definitely a sizable drawdown on that one. That's about 37% down. Cleanspark here down to 978, below $10 here. I am looking to possibly buy some more of that. If you look at the recent high of 1794, this was back in November. We are down approximately 45% on that one. CORZ was down also a little bit here. That one's been faring a little bit better than some of the other ones. Let's see how far down. It's down 26%. Hive has come way down also from a high of 554 all the way down to here where we were. We were down 47%. I mean, we're getting like a 50% reduction in these guys here within the last couple of weeks. Hot 8 hit a high of 31.95. It's down to 22, or excuse me, the low was 32%. So that one's fared pretty good here. IREN, same thing, reached a high here right around December here of 15 something, and it came back down 32%. Marathon got up to a high of 30 and 28. It's down from there quite a bit as well. It is down at least probably 40%, yeah, like 39%, 40%. And then finally Riot here, same situation. It peaked at 1587. This was back on Monday, November 11th, and it's been kind of trading sideways here. It's down about 32%. And then finally we got TeraWulf here getting to a high of $9.30. This was back on November as well, 12. And then coming back down here to about 41%. So we saw a sizable reduction in these guys. before the end of the year here, which we kind of saw that last year as well. If we look back far enough, we can see on Bitcoin that last year, if we go back, let's go back 1 year out. 1 year out, we can see here, this was, let's see, January. And January, Wednesday, yeah, this was basically January, so we got to go back a little bit further from there. We did have a little bit of a sell-off here in December, right? And then and beginning of January as well a little bit. We went from 47 down to 38,000 or something like that, and then we went up how much higher. So we are having a sell-off here towards the end of the year, profit taking, putting it on the books and everything else. That's typical of what we see here on it, and we'll see how it goes going forward. Okay, the quick story that we do have here is from Hive. So Hive expands NVIDIA chips suite to power AI boom with 30 million H100 and H200 GPU clusters to be deployed in Quebec. So Hive is proudly announces the acquisition and deployment of an additional cluster of cutting-edge NVIDIA H100 GPUs in Canadian province of Quebec and the newest NVIDIA H200 GPUs, which will have been shipped to Quebec. This $30 million investment reinforces Hive's growth position as a leader in the global gig economy, and it's a commitment to driving the digital transformation of artificial intelligence and high-performance computing. So they are getting 248 of the GPUs for H100s and 508 GPUs for H200s. That's going to be coming in later on in Q1. But that is going to basically give them about $15 million here in revenue on that one and $20 million here on that one. So that's an additional $35 million in revenue a year. That's pretty good. We'll see what that ROI timeframe is on this. We don't know. Well, we know that they paid $30 million investment on that, but is there going to be a 2 years or a 3 year return on investment on that before they start making money on it potentially? Nonetheless, this is good, right? They're growing their HPC business, they're growing their Bitcoin self-mining business as well. These are all good things that we want to see here, especially them still growing their Bitcoin mining business. Love seeing that, and we'll see how they get valued on it. Okay, really quick here to TeraWulf really quick. So I spoke with Jason, I believe it was, and I'm trying to blank on the other gentleman's name there. But they were both J's, started with a J. So I got a little bit of a clarification here on this. So it is going to be, we talked about this, I believe, when did we talk about this? Monday or Tuesday of last week? I think it was Monday we talked about it, or this week actually, because it's Saturday right now, but we talked about it on Monday. Total potential for the deal that they have there with Core 42 is up to 207 megawatts. So the 135 additional is an additional. I thought it was up to 135 megawatts, but it's not. It's a total of 207 potential megawatts there deal for them. All electrical costs are passed on to the customer there, so they're not paying for that. And their profit margin is going to be about 70% is what they're kind of calling it here. We talked about, obviously, all this stuff down here. On its total cost to build also. Speaking to them, they said that their total cost to build should be around $5 million per megawatt. So that would be approximately $362 million roughly to build out those sites for the 72 initial megawatts that they're getting there with Core 42. So it's going to be a lot of revenue for them going forward. This is a good deal. Just wanted to provide some clarification on it. But yeah, this is it. So there's that. And then let's take a look at the recent enterprise metrics on the miners here really quick. I like looking at this all the time here. Based on things that have changed and stock prices and all these guys, we can see now that BitDeer is the one that's most overvalued by a long shot on some of these guys here with current hash rate. And even if we'll look at the future hash rate for these guys, they're still way overvalued here at 307 million per exahash compared to somebody like Cleanspark, which is at 48, or Bitfarms at 31. Even Hive is now at 13 million, which is pretty low. But you got Riot at 56, IREN at 72 million, Marathon or Mara at 83 million. Those guys are still way undervalued from where some of these guys are currently on it. So we need some of these to start flipping. And I think that might happen if Bitcoin starts going to like 200,000, which leads us into the next thing I want to talk to you guys about here. I ran some numbers here with these guys and made it pretty easy to look at. I did. So here's some assumptions, I guess you could say. Right, Bitcoin getting to 200,000 sometime in 2025. We don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but I'm guessing it's going to happen sometime then. Also, the network hash rate for Bitcoin, currently we're like at 770 exahash to like 780 exahash, something like that on it. So we're pretty close to where I thought we're going to be by the end of the year, around 800 to 900. So I'm estimating that we might be at like 950 by the time Bitcoin reaches to 200,000. So that's kind of the numbers that we're using there. Right, we're also using the current hash rate, not anything that's going to be installed later on, but I do have a table down here for future hash rate as well. We'll get into that a little bit. But we're looking at what that is, basically the percentage of the network hash rate if we are at 950 exahash on Bitcoin network. What does that entail for their monthly generation as far as on a 30-day basis? How much Bitcoin could they possibly generate at that point? All right. This does also not include any revenue from HPC AI or any other things like that. It's just pure Bitcoin mining revenue. So this is what the stock prices are based on. Based on that, I'm taking that number times the 200,000 per Bitcoin. So how many Bitcoins they mined times 200,000. That's their revenue for the month here, right? And then annualized run rate, basically saying that times 12. And then we're looking at 50% margin with a P of 10, 50% margin with a P of 20, so a range. And then 70% margin P of 10 and 70% margin P of 20 as well on that. So we're getting prices on these here, okay? And like I said, this doesn't include HODL or anything like that being in there as well. So this is pure Bitcoin mining itself. So these numbers are just based on that. They could be higher with HPCI revenue. And if they have a large HODL position, that could definitely help the stock as well because, well, Bitcoin being worth 200,000, going up 100% from where it is right now, you're looking at substantial gains on that HODL as well. So that should be a good thing for them. But here's what we have. So 50% I think is on kind of like the average side of things where they could have a 50% profit margin, especially Bitcoin being at 200,000 would basically cost them 100,000 all in, right? To break all in costs for SG&A, all the regular costs that go into it, not just for electricity. So at 50% profit margin, I think that would be 100,000 for these guys. And some of these guys right now are in their like 60,000, 50,000 mark for all in cost to mine Bitcoin. So they're still profitable. And that's why I have 70% in there because some of these guys that are at like 60,000 for all in costs, at 200,000, that's basically 70% profit margin at that point. So that's why I use these two numbers for them as well. Okay. So there, some caveats there to point out. All right, BitDeer here. Based on them, what they're currently mining, like everybody else here, I have in between 998 and 1995. They are definitely getting a higher premium right now for their growth, their ASICs, and their HPC AI potential there. I mean, you saw the stock run up like crazy here recently. Bitfarms between 486 and 973, right, on the 50% margin. Cypher 588 to 1177. Cleanspark 1964 to 3929. Core at 1179 to 2357. Hive 812 to 1623. Hut 8 1037 to 2073. And then we got IREN at 2410 to 4821. Marathon from 2379 to 4759. Riot from 1581 to 3161. TeraWulf from 372 to 743. Also, this is including their current number of shares outstanding. So if they dilute in that process, that will have an impact on these kind of estimates, more or less, the averages. Now, if you look at 70% profit margin, which some of these guys might get, especially the ones that are operating really well, like IREN, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Hive, who else? There might be other ones in there as well. Cypher, ones like that have really good cost and really good operations. Those guys might get 70%. Some of these other guys may not, right? They might be close to that. But BitDeer at that point would be between 1397 and 2794. Bitfarms 681 to 1362. Cypher 824 to 1647. Cleanspark 2750 to $55. Core at 1650 to $33. Hive 1136 to 2272. Hut 1451 to 29. IREN 3375 to 6749. Marathon 3331 to 6662. Riot 2213 to 4426. TeraWulf 520 to 1041. I think TeraWulf is being fairly valued right now based on their Bitcoin mining operations and the new deal that they got for from Core 42 on the HPCI business side of things. That's going to generate them, roughly around 90 some odd million a year currently, unless they expand that deal to get even more megawatts. That would increase their revenue at that point. Okay, so that's kind of where I would see the miners here if we get to 200,000 on Bitcoin, and they get valued at PE of 10, 50%, 70%, and PE of 10 and 20 as well. So that's based on that one. And then if we look at where they are right now, just a quick comparison. I did this just the last second here. We can see that would be from the current price of the stocks. For BitDeer, it would be basically a 1.18 increase. So they're pretty fair valued as it is right now. Bitfarms 8.36, definitely way undervalued. Cypher 3.39x, Cleanspark 5.62x. That's on the higher end side of things, at the 70% margin as well. Then we got Core at 235x, Hive at 7.65x, potentially Hut 1.3, IREN 6.3x, Marathon 3.61, Riot 4x, and TeraWulf at 1.88. Now, if they get to their stated goals here and what they've already purchased, and for the future hash rate, this is their future hash rate here. So you can see IREN I still have at 30, but they're going to be getting to 50, but I haven't seen anything that they're purchased those options yet. Once they do, they'll upgrade those, and we can put that in there now. I think they're going to do the 50 exahash anyways by the end of the first half here. I have Marathon at 50 right now because we don't know what they're going to be growing beyond that. I also have Cleanspark at 56. I think they said they could get to like 63, I think, with the amount of cash and everything else that they have the options to do that. So we're just going based on what we currently have on this. And at that point, you guys can see the numbers here if you want. You can pause it, take a screenshot of this, take a look at it at your leisure, but it definitely gets the miners up much higher in prices potentially because the revenues are going to be much higher. So if you compare the revenues here, annualized run rates, for like Marathon, you're looking at, well, it's going to be about the same here, I think. Actually, a little higher. Yeah, it's going to be a 1.7 billion in annual run rate compared to 1.5 billion. Cleanspark's at 1.1 billion. Now, if they get to like 56 exahash, they'd be like 1.9 billion annual run rate for revenue. So that definitely gets them up higher in price potential. To a high of potentially like $92 at 70% compared to only being here at $55. So growth is still important that's what I'm trying to say basically. If you're continuing to grow into this bull run here, you're going to reap the rewards on it as well. So I think that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys. Let me know what you guys think of that, whether you guys think I'm crazy or this is just ridiculous or you think this might be doable. But I think somewhere in the mix here, somewhere between this high and this high over here, I think is doable for sure for these guys still, especially if Bitcoin goes to 200,000 later on in 2025, right? We don't know exactly when that's going to be. It could be within like the first couple of months, or it could take until October, November until we get there. So we will have to wait and see on it. But at that point, with Bitcoin network hash rate getting to only like 950 exahash or something like that, even if it gets to 1,000 exahash, with these miners growing and everything else, Bitcoin being at that value, that should be a lot of revenue for them. Also, this does not include any transaction fees that are added onto the network, which the miners also reap rewards on that as well, because sometimes those can go between 2 and like 7% of additional revenue for these guys. So that's not taken into account either. Okay. So that is it. Let's get into to the Q&A side of things. We'll call it a day. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Tomorrow we'll get into how the miners did against Bitcoin this past week, and anything else that you guys want me to cover, we'll do it at that point. But yeah, I got to get this out to the Patreon members. Oh, that's the other thing. Patreon members get access to all my spreadsheets. Link for that is down in the description. It's $8 a month. You might be able to find a couple spots that are still $4 and $5, I think, available there. All right, so that's my sales pitch. Let's get into the Q&A side of things here, see what you guys have to say. And as always, preface the questions with a question mark. I'm going to scroll up a little bit here, see what we got as far as questions, and I'm going to work my way back down. Let's see. Okay, Kat, I got your... Ooh, why is that doing that? That should be... Bear with me. I got to fix this really quick. I did not want it like that. This is the way I wanted it to pop up. At least that was my intention originally. There we go. Okay. Okay. So instead of trying to listen while driving, I can barely hear, I guess. That was what you're saying here. So yeah, I'm working on that. Hopefully, I mean, everything else is good. I don't know why the sound would be bad. Okay. Okay, what else do we have here? All right, Gary asks, is 5x possible with Hive and Bitfarms in 2025? I think so, as long as they continue to grow and execute on their growth plans. They've done a really good job, or at least Hive has done a really good job of at least maintaining the 1% network hash rate, which they want to do. They are planning to get to, 13 exahash next year. total 1315 exahash, I believe. So that's going to be roughly about 1% of the network hash rate there. Yeah, I think it's possible. For Bitfarms, they need to grow to the 21 exahash that they've stated to and grow beyond that as well, and they could possibly do that. Especially from the prices where we are so low right now, being beaten down even more into the end of the year here, I think a 5x is definitely possible. Let's see. Will Bitfarms reach $2.50 per share with BTC at 200,000? Yeah, if they, I would almost be willing to bet a couple of dollars on that. All right, question. Seb, why is your TeraWulf prediction so low? If I'm not mistaken, TeraWulf performed much better than traditional miners like Cleanspark Mara. Well, they performed better as stock price, right? Appreciation than these guys in this past year, right? You could say Cleanspark Mara have definitely not done what we thought they were going to do. All of the HPCI potential, or hype, whatever you want to call it, took a lot of the steam out of some of the other guys that were actually growing their hash rate and going into some of these guys that had talks about HPCI potential. That's what made the stocks do really well. But we'll see how that continues going forward. We now know that what Core or TeraWulf has with Core 42 as far as the customer there, what that revenue is going to be like, when that's going to be being built out. So there's a little bit more information than we didn't have before. We can calculate based on the revenue they're going to get there. With some of the other miners that are still growing, especially the ones that have a hodl position or things like that, that can benefit them in the long run. That's why I think those guys will do better than what we have here, because we know what TeraWulf is as far as their hash rate is, where they're going to go with it. It's not going to be a lot of growth there, at least not right now. They could come out with something later on this year to grow that even more, but we have to wait and see until we do get that. And then the HPCI business, we know what that is going to be. That's going to be 95 million roughly in revenue per year, 70% profit margin on that. They got to pay back the first full year of down payments, right, that they got from the Core 42. So we know what's all that going to be in. It's not like some of these guys here possibly could be making like 1.9 billion annual run rate with Bitcoin being at 200,000. That's the difference there. All right. What else do we have here? Let's see. Sebastian down a lot in Cleanspark. Will it go at least to $13? Yes. Yeah. Give it time. It's going to take some while. I don't know exactly when that's going to be, but it's going to be in 2025. Let's see. So do you think this sell-off is tax loss harvesting? I do think that's the case. We saw it last year as well. Okay. Let's see. Sebastian, at which point do you cut your losses and give up on miners 150 with 150,000 per BTC with flat WAGMI? Yeah, at that point, if the miners aren't doing much better, at that point we'll have to reevaluate things. I'm still in the green, right? Because I was buying these guys when they were much, much lower. So I'm still in the green. That green has come down, but I'm still in green on Bitfarms and IREN and Cleanspark because my price average on those guys is so low. So I'm not in any pain right now. All right, let's see. What could be price target for HUT with BTC at 150,000, 200,000? There has been recent pullback. Is it a good option to buy HUT? I think right now might be a good time to buy HUT. Let's take a look at where it's at right now. I know it's pulled back quite a bit from where it was. It's down about 30 some odd percent roughly. And here, I think it's still maybe a little bit. And that's the tough part on them. We don't know how much HPCI business they're going to be getting. Yes, we know that they are in talks with some city in Louisiana to build out a $12 billion HPCI data center there. I think their timeline to get that done is a little bit over optimistic. They want to get it done by the end of 2025. I think you're looking more like at the end of 2026, potentially, especially with some of the long lead items that you need there as well. Generators also, long lead items. I think they're overly optimistic on that and when that revenue could be coming in there. They are going to be growing their self-Bitcoin mining, which is going to be good for them. But if we look at their numbers here, based on what they have right now, I think right now that they are quite a bit overvalued, actually. Future estimates with managed hosting average monthly. So I'm including that in there. So I'm looking at November numbers for them for revenue, Bitcoin mining, plus the managed hosting things in there. I'm between 967 and 1450 there at 22. I think they're, kind of way up there. They're trading at a much higher multiple right now, closer to a PE of 15, maybe even higher than that, depending on what you want to look at, like a 20, which might be okay, might be fair valued right now, right? The big thing for them is growth in HPC AI, also growth in Bitcoin mining. We know that they're going to be growing that as well. That should help them going forward. They still have a nice HODL position as well, around 10,000 Bitcoin right now. So I think Bitcoin going up, they should go up as well. Okay, back here. Okay. Let's see. What could be price target for HUT with BTC at 150,000, 200,000? There has been recent pull. Yeah, I talked about that already. Price target wise, it's going to be up higher. I don't know exactly where it's going to be, depending where they get with their HPCI business and how fast do they grow that self-mining business. Okay, question here. How good is Mara over Cleanspark? Is one a lot better than the other? And which would you recommend overall? Okay, so Mara has a larger HODL position, yes. Mara currently has more exahash, yes. Last month, they operated really, really well, which was the first month in over probably 10 months where they've actually got close to like 100% uptime, which was great to see. But the other months have been 70%, 60% operational uptime. They haven't been great. So operationally, I would give that to Cleanspark. Cleanspark has done the best here as far as that is concerned. They also have a much smaller HODL position, but their growth has been consistent. They've reached their targets pretty much like 90% of the time over the last couple of years. So they've got a really good track record there. Also, I think the cost to mine for Cleanspark is a lot lower than what it is for Marathon. Marathon still has about, I think it's like 45% of their fleet is hosted with somebody else. So they have improved on that, but I think it's still much higher than somebody like Cleanspark, IREN, Cypher, even TeraWulf as well. So for me, with them, it's... the thing for me is the Bitcoin HODL, right? How much appreciation will the company get for the HODL position that they have there, and for them buying also for Marathon? Marathon's been buying Bitcoin up recently. Are they going to get the 2x valuation on that, like JP Morgan says they should, or will it be like more of a 1 to 1 or 1.5 to 1 appreciation on it? We don't know. So that could also help out the stock tremendously there, because they got now, what, like 30, 40,000 Bitcoin or something like that. Okay. Question, Hive is now under 3. Is it good to buy, and how high can it go this cycle? Well, we just did that earlier. I think it can go definitely higher from where it is right now. With Bitcoin going to a 200,000, I think Hive can go somewhere between $8.12 to maybe as high as $22. Don't know exactly where, but somewhere in between there. Based on the amount of revenue they can be generating and things like that. That's kind of where I would think. All right. What else we got here? Okay, question. When in 2025 do you expect miners to make their run? If they haven't, will you be concerned? Yeah, I'll be concerned, definitely, if they don't make their run. Especially Bitcoin's going to 150,000, 200,000, wherever it might be, and the miners are still flat or going down. Yeah, it's going to be definitely concerning, because they're definitely not getting valued for it. But they have to. I believe to the core that they have to be valued much higher, because as Bitcoin goes up to 200,000, just say it goes to 200,000, doesn't go beyond that. At that point, they are bringing in 70% profit margin. So mainly, each Bitcoin that they bring in, they're bringing in, some of these guys are going to be bringing in about 140, 130,000 per Bitcoin in revenue after all costs. That's huge margin, right? They got to get rewarded for that. If they don't, then it's definitely a way, way, way different cycle this time around for the miners. So you talked about that. Cleanspark versus Mara. That's a tough one. Mara has a lot more HODL. Cleanspark has better operations, better costs. That's a tough one. All right. Let's see. Hello, Seb. Every institution is buying Bitcoin and Bitcoin ETFs. Are the institutions buying miners as well, or miners are being left behind? Things. Institutions have been buying. A lot of the miners have institutions where they own like 60% of it, of the company, 60, 50, 40%. So they have been buying as much as well. Mark says, miss you, Seb. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been too long. I've been itching to get back online as fast as I can. But thanks. I really appreciate you guys coming in here as well. All right. Are you worried about holding mining stocks when we enter the bear market in 2026, or is it just me? Yeah, I do not want to be holding these guys in 2026 unless we are in a different cycle. If we're in an extended cycle for Bitcoin, then maybe not. But even still, at that point, if I'm up, the amount I want to be up by everything said and done, I'm going to definitely trim my positions and, take the gains. And then we'll see where they go from there. Here. Wow, Seb, love your new setup. Could you tell? Oh, thank you very much. Could you tell me why your targets are so low now? How does it make sense that at 200,000 Bitfarms could be trading at just below 5? Possibly like how? Maybe I missed something. So that is based on, let me see here, Bitfarms. Okay. So it depends on a couple of things here, right? The low end side of things with 50% profit margins, right? That's on the lower end side of things. I think for some of these guys, I think Bitfarms could be towards the 70% profit margin. So we're looking at a P of 10. That's the low end, right? So we're a P of 10 is pretty low, especially in the bull run. I think it might be closer to like the 973. And then on the higher end side of things, if they're getting valued at 70% profit margin, well, then they should be at 681 to 1362. And that's with the current installed hash rate, right? If you go into the future hash rate, which is going to be 21 exahash, and they get there before or they need to get there before Bitcoin gets to 200,000. We're looking at them being at between 810 to 1620, and for the 50% margin and then 70% margin, we're looking at 1134 to 2268, somewhere in there. And that's with Bitcoin Network hash rate increasing 950 to 950 exahash, right? That's also going to do things. And then as long as their shares stay the same, which I don't think they're going to, I think they're going to actually change for them because the deal of getting Stronghold, they're going to increase their shares there. That's going to impact it a little bit as well. So we might see a different figure here later on if I do this again, right? That's going to definitely impact their potential. But that's kind of where I'm seeing things potentially, where I would think things would be fair. Now, what I think and what actually happens in the market are two different things. Right? I don't control the market, but if I control the market, this is where I think that these guys should be valued at. All right, let's go back here. Q&A. What else do we have here? All right, let's see. Wouldn't it be more helpful to calculate the fair value of the miners based on Bitcoin price range from 85 to 100,000? I mean, we can do that too. We get the numbers right now for it as well, right? But that's kind of where we are right now. I still think that they're unvalued from where price is right now as it is. Let's see, can we get IREN to $81 top? Bitcoin would have to be at like 250,000, maybe 300,000 at that point, I would think. But nothing's out of the question mark here, or nothing's out of the question, I guess. What else? Trace, we got any questions? Okay, let's see it. Sebastian, why do you hold altcoins? If you really understand BTC, you know those are inflation. And that was from the prior cycles that I had those from. Ethereum, I got into that one back in 2017, 2018, like with Bitcoin. And then the other ones were in the 2021 cycle or prior to that as well. That was just, I'm done with those. I'm looking to get out of those as soon as possible once I break even or make at least a little bit of profit on those things. Okay, let's see here. What do you think of the statement, Bitcoin miners are like altcoins, we should wait for the money rotation to happen from BTC, MicroStrategy, and others better performing shares to undervalued the miners? Yeah, I've been hearing that also, that we need a rotation, that the miners are like altcoins, that they do perform and in certain periods better than others. So that might be the case for it also. We'll have to wait and see. I still think the miners are going to run, though. I just don't know exactly when. Okay. All right. How does the AI deals with HUT and others compare with CoreWeave, Scientific Deal? Well, they're smaller deals, that's for sure, right? Scientific got a huge extended deal for 12 years, a lot of megawatts with CoreWeave there. So that's the main difference there. As far as pricing per megawatts or something, I think they're pretty close to each other there, but just the smaller deals that HUT has and TeraWulf, along with Bit Digital, those guys as well. Do you think BTC hits 200,000 this year? Not this year. I think next year in 2025 we'll hit it. Okay, let's see. Tom Lee states that there may be a chance for BTC to drop to 60-70 range early in 2025 before making the epic rally to over 200k. How much do you believe in that? I'm actually thinking the same thing potentially. And the reason I was thinking about that because historically Bitcoin has had pullbacks of like 30%, 20 or 30%, and 30% pullback would be down to like the 70,000 range, 72, 75, somewhere around there. So I think that there's a chance of that possibly happening. I'm not going to rule that out. We have been coming down on Bitcoin price here. We talked about the chart earlier in the stream. So I do think that there is a possibility of that before we go much higher. Let's see, question. 900 Bitcoins for Mara this month. Seb, you should consider Mara at $18. Yeah, I mean, if they're operating much better than they have been, this would be like the second month in a row where they've done really good, then yeah, things are definitely getting much better for them. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But that's one of the things that I've always griped about them is their operations. Their operations have not been great. But they're definitely changing that around or improving on that. Let's see. Okay. Let's see here. Hey, Seb, what do you think of Mr. Teeps guy in your Discord? He's so knowledgeable and got such good alpha. He's the GOAT. He is the GOAT. No, I've had many conversations with him over the past year in general. We talk about a bunch of stuff, mostly about Bitfarms and things like that. But he's definitely very inquisitive and definitely very spirited, I guess you could say. Question, is Cleanspark a clear several X to around 50, or does it seem risky? Not so clear right now. Same question with Bitfarms. Thanks for sharing your thoughts going forward. 50, I would think that 50 would be definitely doable, especially Bitcoin going to 200,000. If we get there, then it should get there, right? Is it going to be a smooth ride? No, it's going to be a bumpy ride. We're going to go up and we're going to go down. We're going to, test people, and people are going to capitulate, and they're going to be out, and they're going to come back in, and, it's one of those things where it's never an easy ride with these guys. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Are we screwed holding Cleanspark, IREN, Riot, Bit Digital, Cypher? Thanks for what you do, Seb. These miners have really tested our patience. Yes, they have. I don't think we're screwed yet with these guys. I think it's a delayed cycle this time for the miners. Last year they were running already towards the middle of November into December. This time we're not seeing that, so I think it's just a delayed cycle a little bit on that. But I still think Bitcoin going to 200,000 plus, that's going to be a big boom for them. Okay, what's the point of holding these miners if you're seeing only 2x from here for Bitfarms at 200,000 BTC? Well, that's what I'm saying. That's on the lower end side of things, right? I'm not going to say we're going to only get that, but that's kind of like, this is at least what we should get. But I think it's going to be much higher than that. Let's see here. Seb, did you sell CORZ Scientific for Cleanspark? No, I sold CORZ Scientific for... actually, I did. I guess you could say I did. I did buy Cleanspark more of that. I bought more IREN as well and Bitfarms at that point. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Oh, DJ's here. Hazy watch Seb every now and then. I subscribed to the spreadsheets. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. Let's see. Bevney seems to think miners will run in Q1. Bull run is over in April. Okay. I mean, that'll be interesting. How high do you think we could get there by the end of, first, do you think we could actually get to like 200, 250,000 by then? You said Cleanspark price would reach 70 by 2025. Do you have an update on your thinking? I still think it's possible. I said 70s, right? 60, 70, somewhere around there as their dilution was going on. So as their dilution was happening, we kept bringing it down a little bit. But I still think somewhere between 60 and 70 is possible. If Bitcoin goes to 200 and 250,000, it should get there. Let's see here. Hi, Sebastian. Isn't Hive the most undervalued miner with the most % growth in the pipeline? It's trading at a discount to book value and has the highest BTC per share. What's your 2020 for that one? I mean, yeah, it should do much better. I think it is. I mean, you can see that on a couple of charts here. If you look at enterprise value here, you can see it. It is like one of the most undervalued here. It's currently at 25 million per exahash. The future for them is 13 million, so it's even worse than what it is right now. They do have good growth happening for Bitcoin mining. Their HPCI business is also going to be growing there. They do have a HODL position also. It's just, yeah, they're not getting the love. Same thing with Bitfarms here. Bitfarms, both Canadian miners. Is that the reason for it? Is it because they're Canadian, they're just not getting the love? I don't know. But I think they should be definitely much higher. Bitcoin goes to 200,000. For Hive, we're looking at 18 to 1623 on the low end. On the high end side of things, we could be between 1136 to 2272, somewhere around there. So they definitely have a ways to go to get to those numbers for sure. And like I agree, they're undervalued. Great operations, great consistent team there. Yeah, we'll see on that one. Okay, let's go back up here. Let's see what else do we have here. Okay, why is Cleanspark shorted and not Bitdeer? Bitdeer's shorted also, but not as much. Bitdeer seems to continue to go higher each day. Just recently, it's been doing well, right? But prior to that, it's been not in favor. If you look at Bitdeer here for a while, let's go back to the chart here. You can see that it's had a recent run up here ever since basically where it bottomed out here in September, which is right here, and it's had a run up here recently. But prior to that, I mean, you can see here, actually started trading here back in 2023, right? It's been kind of flat, where some of the other miners have done better, but just recently it's been getting some love on it. And I think maybe that's because it's been trading for maybe a year now on the public markets. See April, yeah, over a year. So maybe that's helping it out. And then also their growth and, building their own ASICs, the megawatts potential that they have there going into and building out into 2025 into 2026 as well and beyond. That could be helping the stock up right now. Let me see. My kids are doing something upstairs. You guys can probably hear that. They got something on the floor. And okay, they stopped. All right, let's go back here to the Q&A part of it. I got a couple more minutes, guys, and I got to take off for a birthday party. Let's see here. Is CORZ a good buy? I do think it's still a good buy. I think that one's going to continue to go up slower, but going to continue to go up because we know what the HPCI potential there is for them, what that's going to be driving revenue-wise. Then just need to see some growth on Bitcoin mining side of things as well for them. And yeah, I think they're going to do great. Let's see. Okay. Question: do institutional investors tend to dump miners? If so, when is that typically seen in the bull run? There seems to be no reason for them to invest if they don't intend to let them run. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of them that have invested, like we talked about. A lot of these guys have 40, 50, 60% institutional ownership in them. They definitely will want these guys to run so they can make their cash. Let's see. So, OMG Seb, you're an absolute G. Love the way you break down these numbers. So useful. Love you. Thank you so much, and definitely love you back. Thanks for coming in here. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Hi, Seb. Hope you had a great Christmas. I did. Hope everyone else did too. I too believe the miners will run. Thank you for all you do, for all the work. You're very welcome. Okay. Are you scared even a little, or is it just me? I'm not scared. I might be in a different position if I was in the red on these guys. I'm still in the green, like I've said before. I bought them at a much lower prices, so I'm still in the green. So I'm still, I guess, really optimistic for them going forward. That's why I've been holding them and actually buying more. And I might buy some more this week. I got to look at my finances and see if I can do that, but I will buy some more on the dip. Okay. When do you see CORZ starting to hodl? I think they're already hodling right now. They're just not reporting it. If you look at the numbers of what they sell on the monthly reports, they're always selling less than what they mine, I think, combined with mining and hosting as well. So it's always seems a little bit less. So I'm not sure what's going on with the rest of that stuff there. Let's see here. Who are your top 3 miners? I'm Team Riot, Mara, Cleanspark, long term. Okay, I think Riot, my ones would be probably Cleanspark, IREN, and, well, maybe Bitfarms, but that's based on operations and uptime and all those things. Riot definitely has a huge operations, but their operations haven't been great. They need to get that closer to 95% uptime. Mara hasn't been great in the past also, but they have done better last month, much, much better. So if they can continue to do that, then yeah, that would definitely put them in the like top 3 there for sure. Okay. Let's see. Do you trust your methodology? BitDeer is at 23 now with BTC at 94,000. The estimates of 14, 20 don't seem logical. Well, the markets can be irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? Or in the markets. So yes, sometimes things do run up with really no reason. I mean, there hasn't been really much news from BitDeer other than we've known about the ASICs that they're building for themselves. We know about their future growth as well. All that stuff is kind of priced in, and yeah, sometimes it doesn't make any sense. Just like TeraWulf ran up, right? What did it run up on? HPCI potential, right? No other rhyme or reason. We didn't have any details on it, but it was just that kind of stuff that it can run on. Okay, question. If historically the miners run no later than March typically, but we have a different cycle, wouldn't it be reasonable for the timing for them to run be potentially later in the year? Potentially, yeah. It is a different cycle a little bit. Okay, what else do we have here? All right, Seb, check it out. Bitcoin's current RSI is what it was when Bitcoin hit 60K and rallied. RSI reset. RSI is reset. Let's see here. When it went. Let's see here. Which time frame are you looking at? Are you looking at the daily or the weekly on it? RSI here. Yeah, I mean, we were at 60, yeah. RSI, yeah, so, okay, I see what you're saying. I think this is what you're saying here. Right, the RSI is at, on the daily right now, right around 43. Last time we were back here, 43, we're at, yeah, 60,000. So that's on the daily. The weekly has come down here also. Last time we were in this range was back here, right around 66. Yeah, so that's definitely reset itself, but it could still go down a little bit more, I think. And then the monthly's kind of high, but we're definitely much higher. Yeah, that could be the end of it. Time will tell on that one, whether we go down even further to like the 80,000 mark or somewhere like that, or if we go higher from here. But I think we might have a couple more, well, at least possibly Monday and Tuesday, we might have a little bit more selling to do in the markets. All right, let's see it. Question, what's your opinion about Q1 2025 miner performance? Miner performance as in growth, as in revenue, not sure, operations. I think Bitcoin going up, I mean, even for Q4, we should see a lot of these miners performing really, really good based on earnings per share, with Bitcoin being pretty much on average around 90-some thousand for the quarter. So that should yield really well for them, I think. They should be coming out with positive EPSs. Okay. Thoughts on Mara. 46% of Mara is owned by institutions. Investors, BlackRock own 15% of Mara. Vanguard owns 11% of Mara. Morgan Stanley owns 6% of the street. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, Benny says, no, I think 150 to 180,000 is the top cycle. See, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking 180,000 was going to be the top. This was before Trump became in office, right? We had all this talk about countries putting it on their strategic reserves and states and ETFs, all this stuff before that. I think 180 would be like on the low end side of things of where we go. All right, see here. Question, with the 100,000, some miners are already 2-3x from other BTC needs to, and for others, BTC needs 200. Don't understand. Riot, Cleanspark are not even 50% with. Yeah, they've definitely been held back, I think, by the big guys. Let's see here. Sovereign Guy, Happy New Year, Seb. Happy New Year to you as well. That's going to be coming up here in a couple of days. I'm trying to find other questions here really quick, and I got to get going. Otherwise, my wife's going to kill me. When BTC was 60,000, Mara was 34. Is it because of dilution? How do we explain this? Yeah. You can't explain it. There's no real rhyme or reason other than it's being manipulated by the big guys, right? They're going to let it run when they want to let it run, and they're going to bring it back down when they want to bring it back down for the most part. And it's also past halvings, or we were just past the halving event that also yields to the fact that the revenues cut in half just on day one of the halving, basically. And so that's always been a huge, had a huge impact on the miners right after that for the next 6 months or so. That's why I said we should have been running like in towards middle of November upwards into December as well, but we haven't even done that with some of these guys. Alrighty, let's see here. What else do we have here? Okay, question. So do you watch the U.S. Dollar compared to other currency? It seems that some of the recent drop corresponds with a noticed increase in U.S. versus others. How does BTC all-time high in other currencies compare to that? I don't know. I do not watch. There's other people that I think do track that. I do not do that though. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'm trying to find another question really quick. Okay, I think we are all caught up on everything. So again, thank you everyone for coming in here to spend a little time with me to talk about this stuff. We'll get back to the swing of things once all the holidays are done over with, and we'll be on a regular schedule again. It was just a little crazy here, but tomorrow we'll take a look at the miners, see how they did against Bitcoin this past week. It wasn't great. I can tell you that right now. We'll look at that. We got a couple more days in the new year, then we're into the new year, 2025, new month again, and then we'll get miners updating their operational updates for December. Then we got basically quarterly results coming in and year-end results coming out for these miners in probably end of February, I'm guessing middle to end of February, somewhere around there. So we got a lot of stuff happening here with the miners. We have a lot of, we got the new president coming on, being, sworn in January 20th, I believe that is. So there's a lot of stuff happening. We'll see how Bitcoin reacts to all this stuff, how the miners react to everything else. And yeah, we'll see how things go. To be honest, I'm still extremely positive on Bitcoin miners going forward. Yes, it hasn't been an easy ride here, but I still think the best is ahead of us. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I think. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again for coming in here. Love you all. Have a great night. Yeah, I'll see you then.